Let's bring in a real-life, living, breathing Conservative MP. Richard Graham, good afternoon to you, sir.
Hi.
Nice to have you with us. Has your letter gone in? I'm bound to ask.
No. I mean, that would be a ludicrous idea.
It's interesting, isn't it, that I'm sure you drew the same conclusion as most of us did when we read this piece in the Telegraph. It sounded as if, or one would assume, that if an MP is going to be confident enough to write something like that, he'd already have a bit of a body of support around him. It appears there's very little, if any, at all.
Yeah, I mean, look, I can't measure these things precisely, but you'll find that way over 90% of my colleagues are 100% behind the Prime Minister, getting on with the job of looking after our constituents, governing sensibly, bringing in new innovations where they're needed. And this is the last time that anybody needs a further distraction. So Simon Clarke, who's a friend of mine and able in some ways, this is a great mistake, I think, personally, and for the party, and doesn't help the country.
Well, he was a friend of Rishi Sunak's, of course. He was number 2 over there at the Treasury. I mean, the equation, I suppose, Richard, is rather simple. Will you win more or fewer seats if you got rid of the Prime Minister? And there is a school of thought that says, look, you guys are going to lose anyway, so damage limitation. And by replacing your leader, it might be unconventional, it might be a bit weird, third or fourth time on the bounce in almost as many years, but you will do better without Rishi. I mean, if that was a proven stat to you, would it change your mind?
Look, the Prime Minister is extremely able. He's extremely hardworking. He's got the right ideas. When he goes around the country, which he does every weekend and so on, he gets a terrific response. So there's no question that he is the right man for the job, the right man to lead us into a general election. And I believe it's still possible for the right man to carry on governing after the election.
You're behind in the polls, 20, 30 points, whatever it is. I know polls, schmols and all the rest of it, but, you know, there begins to be a body of evidence there.
Haven't been ahead in a poll in 2 years.
Not ahead in a poll in 2 years. The Prime Minister himself, his approval rating has gone down. Keir Starmer's a shot ahead. So, demonstrably, he's not the man for the job, Richard.
Yeah. So, look, I mean, polls are polls. We've all seen polls. I've been destined to lose 2, I think, of the 4 elections I fought, and that didn't come to pass. My neighbour, Alex Chalk, was 99% certain to lose in the last 2 elections he fought. He won them both. Polls are odd things. What matters is what happens on the ground. That's an interesting combination of people's perceptions about your leader, about the party, about the state of the country, and also their perception of the local MP and what that individual is doing for them locally. So there are lots of things in the mix. I don't think any poll has ever proved, completely accurate. And as you said, quite often, actually, these polls come closer when it gets to a stage of an actual election. People have to think really hard about who they want to lead the country. I mean, I'm clear in my own mind that if we want someone to lead us into a future where this country can be a great leader in innovation and technology and taking the nation forward at ease with itself, multicultural in every way, the Rishi is the man for the job. And I think as the election gets closer, I think more and more people will come to that conclusion, but we'll have to see.
What do you think in terms of the chances of this up-and-coming election, autumn probably, it's almost a dead cert that that's when it will be. You still think there's a chance the Conservatives will win?
I do. Yeah, I do. I mean, later on I may be proved wrong. I may be proved right. Who knows? So it's just one opinion. But I wouldn't be standing again unless I thought that I and we had something serious to offer and that Rishi was the right man to lead us.
Very final question, Richie. Your message for Sir Simon, if you would.
I've swapped message with him personally, and I'm not going to repeat those on. I'm sorry, on your show, but I just think it's a mistake. I don't think it's the right thing for him, for us, for anybody in the country. It's a distraction, and I don't think it'll lead anywhere.
Richard Graham, thank you for your time. Conservative MP for Gloucester with us here on Talk TV. It's interesting. Peter Cardwell is still with us. Look, that's his position, that's his view. He would say that, wouldn't he?
Yes.
he seemed, maybe I'm being too generous.
He doesn't have to.
You know, but no, he doesn't have to. I mean, politicians are very good at saying one thing and meaning another. We do know that. However, he sounded very convinced there that the Tories are still going to win the next election.
Well, I don't think they are, and I mean, maybe he genuinely believes that. I'm sure, you know, Richard Graham is a great man of integrity, but what's interesting, I think, is, you know, who is this incredible person who Simon Clarke maybe thinks is himself? Who is this person who can unite the Conservative Party at the moment? I don't think there's a person alive who could unite the Conservative Party and could bring them to a majority in the next election. Maybe it's Rishi Sunak, maybe we proved completely wrong, but as I pointed out, not ahead in the polls in 2 years. We've seen by-election after by-election where the Conservatives have been crushed. They're going to have the local elections on the 2nd of May. I think they're going to do really badly then, and then we'll see what happens in what I think will be a general election in November.
We will see. Thank you, Peter. Peter Cardwell, our chief political correspondent, with us on the programme.